Hi, it's Lynn from LynnieCDesigns. I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator based in West Sussex in the UK. Thank you for joining me today. And I wanted to come on to make a card with the Give It a Whirl dies. These dies are absolutely amazing. They make an interactive card. They've got so many elements. There's 21 dies in all. It's in the annual catalogue on page 57, and they have paired it with the Stella birthday. I have got that set, so I'm going to make one. I will put a picture of, this is a card that I made a friend for her nephew's 4th birthday, and I'm going to make something similar but using one of the other dies. Let me start off by showing you the dies. Thought it would be easier to actually see the bits that the dies cut out. So you've got some clouds, 3 different shaped hearts, there's 2 lots of 3 stars, and then you've got dies. This die cuts out this pinwheel, and that's what's interactive. This is the card front, and then you've got 4 different options for windows, and I've cut them out here so that you can see the different options. And this is something that I'm going to keep because it actually gives you the chance to have a look and to see which of your stamps would show through. You've got some little arrows here, and there are also, I haven't cut these out, you've got sort of little circles which would obviously go over your your little circle on the card, because, show you, this is the card front that is cut out with this die here, and there's a little hole there. This is the pinwheel, and you line that up behind there, put a brad through, and then that spins. But what you want to do, and this is what I've done for my card today, if you line that up, I've used one of those dies to cut a shape, put the brad through, and then there's a shape here, so you can stamp your various, there's 3 sections, 1, 2, 3, so you can stamp your different, I'm going to use sentiments in this case. So before I waffle anymore, I'm going to put that to one side. I'm going to use that die, and I've already cut this out. Now, one of the things that people have been commenting on, and it's something that happens with most dies, you do end up getting a little bit of an indent from the various dies. You've got that here as well. It doesn't really bother me. Some people it might do, and I think the only thing you can do is to either, you could emboss that, and that would get rid of the impression, or you just run it back through your die cutting machine, whichever one you've got. I've still got my Big Shot, and I've got a mini Stampin' Up cut and emboss machine, but I'm just going to run those through to try and get rid of the impression, and I'll be back. So that's helped a little bit, it's got through, but actually I think that's quite helpful for me. Let me just line that, where's the hole? Line the hole up. And I want to work out where I'm going to need to stamp. So I'm going to be inking this up with a blending brush, and I'm just going to go through that hole onto the white, and it will give an impression, a little bit of colour, so that you can work out where you're going to do your stamping. So let me do that for all 3 of them. You can tell this is the first time I've done this. That's not necessarily going to work very well, is it? Because that's one. Pop that in there for a minute. Oh, it doesn't matter, does it? I can still see the impression, and actually I think that by the time you've got all of those blended in, that's a bit better. I could have just marked it with a pencil, but I don't mind that because each of them crosses over in the corner, and that will give me the opportunity to go back in this one and add a bit more ink. Fabulous. There we go. Happy with that. So now I know where to stamp the sentiments on those, and I'm going to add some extra ink to this to make it look like an evening sky. So let's get a spare bit of this, and I'm going to start with my Misty Moonlight. And I'm not really worrying too much if it's a bit swirly, because, or a bit splodgy. I'd be more careful if it was white, but because I'm just adding a little bit of tone on tone colour here, I'm not being too precious about it. As you can see, it's make a few light and dark areas, so there's a little bit of light coming through. Not usually quite so rough with my cardstock. And then I'm going to come in with a bit of Night of Navy, still one of the old sterling pads. I'm just going to add Night of Navy to the edges. And that's going to give it a nice dark and rich colour. Should have got a bit of. Okay. Try and avoid me getting inky fingers. Fabulous, I'm quite happy with that. That's just, I'm not sure whether that's, I don't think that's picking up on the camera so well, but it's kind of giving it a little bit of two-tone. You can see there's still plenty of ink on that, so you don't really need to reapply any ink. Now, in order to get stars, I've got some craft ink. This is an old bottle. Add the craft ink to the block, and then with an old water painter, make that a bit gloopy, a bit runny, and then being quite careful not to get it all over everything. That's what I was trying to avoid. I don't want it on my new laptop. Craft ink takes a little while to dry, but there is an easy way to do Galaxy. So I'm going to clean that off straight away. I'm going to pop that to one side to dry, and I'm going to just wipe that off my block, and I will give that a clean later on. I'm pleased with that. I have gone ahead and die cut some stars. Bring those in. And I've stamped, coloured, and then fussy cut out my two little characters. So let's bring this pinwheel in, and I've got my stamps. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to stamp in Night of Navy. Get that straight. Fabulous. You're out of this world. So it's going to go around that way. Reach for the stars on that one. Let's make sure we get it the right way up. And then last one. Have a stellar birthday. So that is fabulous. Let's shut that down. I've got a card base. My card base is Misty Moonlight, and I've got a white layer here which is 10.2 by 14.5 centimeters. and I just want to in the middle of that put "Celebrating You is a Blast." Just checking my laptop to see whether I've splashed it or not. I'm going to put that in the corner. I've cleaned all my stamps. Let's move those out the way. Okay. So I've actually dried that. And can you see it's really pretty? Actually, let me just... There we are. Let's get the lights pointing in the right direction. So that's, I've dried that off. Craft ink takes a little while to dry, so I've dried that with my heat tool. That's the inside of the card. So let's assemble. So what I found the best thing to do is to have so I'm using one, we've got a big 200 brads, round and square brads. They're black and white. So I've just got a little white one. So feed that through there. And I find that a good thing is to have another circle to feed on there as well. I'm just using an old bit of DSP. Stick that in there as well, and then fold that out, and then we want to add some dimensionals. Now I use these foam sheets on this kind of project, so I'm just gonna cut some strips. We do also stock some foam strips, but I find them quite deep, quite thick, so I don't really tend to use them very much. Now all you have to do is put this on, but make sure that it's not going to interfere with the circle die. So I'll bring in my snips. I'm just gonna snip those in pieces. And I'm doing a couple of small bits because I'm going to also add it to here, and you'll see why when it goes onto the card. Pop that there. I'm going to it's a little bit slimmer. You can see I'm keeping away, but just want to make sure that there's enough on here. You might be laughing at me, but I don't want it to sag. So there we go. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring that back in, and I want to apply some more ink. To the rest of that circle, because I don't actually like the way you can see that. I've been umming and ahhing all day about what cards to make, and I've got so many ideas going around in my head to share with you that I couldn't settle on one. So I've settled on this in the end, but my brain is a little bit distracted. It's been one of those weeks, I'm sure we've all had those. There we are, that's a little bit better. And that. There we go. So. That's better. Happier with that. Nobody will ever know, right? Haha. Perfect. So here's our Misty Moonlight base. Now this is a bit of a different size than our normal card bases, standard card bases in the UK, but it's just, you know, I could have used a slightly smaller base, but I didn't want to, so put those bits on there, and I'm just going to make sure that I've got it straight. But the reason I put that there is it makes it a little bit easier to turn the wheel. And now we just have to arrange our bits and pieces, and I'm going to pop that there because then we can hide the brad. Not that it makes any difference really, but there we go. And then we've got some shooting stars. And the one thing I was going to add to that was I've got a piece of silver trim. I'm actually going to attach them. So I've got a bit of tear and tape. and I want it coming out of her hand there. To his hand there. There we go. So I'm going to pop these up on dimensionals. That's why I didn't want to use the foam strips, because I thought it would just be too many dimensionals, or too much thickness. I'm going to pop one over there. Take the backs off. I'm going to be finding those everywhere. One more. So and that can snake round like that. I used, as I said, I'm not sure whether I said at the beginning, my first attempt with this die was the other week, and I made a card for my friend's nephew, and who's just turning 4, and she reckons he will love it. So I want to hide that there. And I forgot, what I mustn't forget is to put this on, which is the little arrow, so that they know, people know what to do. And I'm just going to add a little bit of glue. I had a glue that actually had some, there we go. It would have been good to have got that on with some adhesive sheet actually. You can create your own stickers with adhesive sheet. But there we go, that's gone on nicely there. So you know to whiz that round. And then we'll just put a little blob on the back of each of those stars. Could use a glue dot if you didn't like liquid glue. And then I'm just going to get my tweezers. Add those onto the card. Fabulous. There we go. Now I've got lots of ideas for this set as well, so I will be doing more cards with this and sharing these over on my social media and my blog in the coming weeks. But hopefully you enjoyed that video. Give me a thumbs up if you did, or to let me know that you liked it, or leave me a comment. And if you're not a subscriber, then please hit that subscription button and the notification bell so that you can get an email every time, or a notification every week when I release a new video. Thanks for now. Bye bye.